Khalistani menace continues in Canada as violent attack by Khalistani extremists took place on Hindu Canadian devotees in Brampton, and this reveals the severity of Khalistani extremism in Canada. Now, Khalistani extremists stormed the premises of the Hindu Sabha temple in Brampton in Canada, assaulting devotees and vandalizing the property. This attack comes on the heels of the recent spate of anti-Hindu threats by Khalistani terrorist Gurpatwant Singh Pannu, who publicly warned against Diwali celebrations in Canada. Meanwhile, the Canadian Prime Minister, we're talking about Justin Trudeau, he took to social media platform X to condemn the violence. In his post, he said that such violence is unacceptable. But it's important to mention that he does not name Khalistani goons or mobs anywhere in the post. He refrains from the K word. The Canadian MP Chandra Arya, who's been vocal about the rise of Khalistani extremism in Canada, has condemned the attack, stating that Khalistani extremists in Canada have crossed the red line. And viewers, let me take you through what exactly happened, and these are pictures that are extremely significant and pictures that you need to look at this point of time. This came in from Brampton yesterday. Now look at what happens. Look at the way the K-mob went on a rampage. This is how they targeted Hindus in Canada. They came in with sticks, they ran after them, and they beat them up. Look at what's happening. Just take a look at these pictures. There were Hindu devotees who were dragged, and then there were the Khalistanis who came in, they attacked them and they terrorized them. There were Hindus over there, devotees, unsuspecting, who came in to offer their prayers after Diwali. And look at the way they were targeted, one after the other. They were beaten up with these Khalistani flags. And this happens even when there were officials who sought protection from Canadian authorities. And this is why there are MPs like Chandra Arya who are now forced to believe that the reports that suggested that Khalistanis have infiltrated not just the political system in Canada, but also the law enforcement agencies, they're having to believe that yes, possibly that is the truth. And that is why when something like this happens in broad daylight on the streets of Brampton, when there is police presence requested, it also seems like this, there is some sort of a connivance, or there is some sort of a free run that is given to Khalistani mobs to go on a rampage. You've seen the pictures. Now let's get you the latest breaking news update that's now coming in. And in the latest breaking news update, we have the Brampton mayor who's spoken out about the violence that took place with Hindu devotees. The Brampton mayor is proposing legal steps after K-mobs have attacked the Hindu temple. Mayor Brown has said that he will move a legal motion and will propose that no such protest should take place outside places of worship, and he will bring this motion in the city council. That's the latest updates that's coming in. We can also confirm to our viewers that the Ontario Sikhs and Gurudwara Council has also condemned the violence that took place outside the Hindu Sabha Mandir in Brampton. They say, and I quote from their post, the incident outside the temple is distressing, a reminder of the need for understanding and mutual respect in our community. The OSGC is committed to ensuring the safety and well-being of all community members and supporting all those who are victims of this kind of violence. So that's the latest. We have Srinjoy Chaudhary joining us, and we also have Mir Trivedi joining us from Surrey, and also Pradeep Datta who's joining us. Let's put this into context. Let's bring in Srinjoy Chaudhary. Srinjoy, it's on tape. Hindu devotees were chased, they were brutally attacked, and everything happens in broad daylight, even when authorities sought proper security because they are aware of the kind of attacks taking place and the way Hindus are now on the target of Khalistani extremists. But despite all the alarms, despite all the requests for security, look at what happens. Yes, condemnation is coming in from all quarters in the Canadian establishment. But what Canadian leaders are forgetting to do is call a spade a spade. They are not naming Khalistanis and condemning Khalistanis for the kind of violence they unleashed on Hindu devotees.
Well, first of all, there are just a few Khalistanis there. Very few of the Sikhs there are actually violent Khalistanis. very, very few. And that makes it even more surprising that the Canadian government of Justin Trudeau fails to check them. It's just a few violent people. And it's your responsibility to ensure that citizens of Canada, all those Hindu devotees there, most of them were Canadian citizens. So why can't you protect your own citizens?
Yes.
There are other Indians there as well. This was a mixture of Canadians and Indians. So why the Indian High Commission has actually come up with a very alarmed statement saying that they were the safety of Indians were also questioned. That's the first thing. The second is a long-term thing. Here, clearly, the Canadian government does not care
Yes.
about good relations with India. It does not care about its own citizens.
Yes.
Many of the Hindus who were attacked were Canadian citizens. What did you do to save them? What did you do to protect them?
Yes, and the same Canadian establishment, Srinjoy, waged a diplomatic war of sorts with India, bludgeoning years of understanding between the two countries for whom? For a Khalistani terrorist, Hardeep Singh Nijjar. And now when there are Hindu devotees who are being attacked outside Hindu temples, when their faith is being attacked, not a word of condemnation against Khalistanis. Yes, the violence is being condemned because they are forced to condemn it. Everything is on tape, but they are not even taking the name of Khalistanis. Thank you, Srinjoy, for putting that into perspective for our viewers. I have Mihir Trivedi joining us from Surrey. Mihir, the incidents of violence have taken place in Brampton, in Surrey and in Vancouver as confirmed by the Indian High Commission. You are there. Get us a sense of how the Indian community is feeling there, especially the Hindus in Canada. What is the sense that they have at this point of time, looking at the recent spate of attacks and the rise in Khalistani extremism in Canada?
Absolutely. As far as the Hindu community is concerned, as far as the Indian diaspora is concerned, remember it is time of festivities for them. We just celebrated Diwali and this entire week is going to be all about Diwali. Now in this situation, in these times when suddenly we see attacks on places of worship like the temple in Surrey or the one at Brampton, it clearly gives a sense of uncertainness to the Indian diaspora, to the Hindu community, and there's no doubt about that. This is, in a sense, similar to what we saw, the impact that we felt in Surrey post Nijjar's killing and the entire, fallout between the two countries based on the investigation that was going on. But clearly what we understand at this point is that there is always going to be some amount of concern as far as the Indian diaspora is concerned. The Hindu community is concerned. I apologize
for interjecting, but what is the sense the Hindu community and the Indian diaspora gets in Canada? Because officials are stating that well in advance they had sought security from law enforcement agencies, and despite all these requests we are seeing this happening, and nothing much was done by the Canadian police officials when Hindu devotees were being attacked outside the temple there in Brampton.
Clearly, and we could see it in the visuals, nothing much was done. In fact, this was a protest. In fact, it was probably the time of Diwali when there was a huge gathering at the temples, and the police and enforcement agencies are aware of the kind of situation could go spiral in both ways. So whether there was some sort of resistance, whether there was taking it lightly, but clearly the enforcement should have been more proactive in terms of avoiding these attacks, and that's not happening, and that raises the question of why why suddenly the Khalistani protesters or supporters are given that kind of leeway, they are given that kind of power to operate in such a way that they could wield out this sort of fear and scare amongst the Hindu community.
Is it also because Khalistani forces are now almost assured that they can do whatever they want? They will get a platform, they will have a free run, because they believe the Canadian establishment is somehow has surrendered before them. The Canadian establishment cares more about Khalistani extremists than it cares about, Indians in Canada who've been there in Canada, and all those who've been attacked, like Shinjoy Chaudhary pointed, are Canadian citizens. And it is the same Canada that called Hardeep Singh Nijjar a Canadian citizen and fought with India, made baseless allegations. What is Canada going to do to protect all these Hindus who've been attacked by Khalistani extremists?
Yes, that is the big question that goes straight to the political parties and the party in power as far as Canada is concerned. But as far as the Indian diaspora is concerned, clearly we have a very significant Sikh presence also in the Indian diaspora. But, very few of them are supporters of the Khalistani movement.
Yes.
Because of the kind of violence that we are seeing.
Yes.
Time and again, not only on the outside, but also to certain community members, like specific targetings on the Hindu community, like
Yes.
we've seen recently, which has been condemned by the political class
Yes.
of Canada, but has much action been
Our
taken to
diplomats are
ensure
targeted.
that those culprits...
Diplomats are targeted. Indian diplomats are put under surveillance. All kinds of baseless allegations are made against the Indian government. Leaks are sanctioned against India's top ministers, and everything is admitted and put on record. And now there is an attack not just on Hindus but on the faith of Hindus, when Canada tries to boast about being a very inclusive place and having respect for all citizens and all communities. Mihir, do stay with us. We'll get a sense from what is actually happening on the ground from you. But let's bring in Pradeep Datta. Pradeep, you've been tracking these developments for the longest time. You are seeing a pattern. There is an allegation that's coming in that many suspect that the intel Canada keeps talking about is an intel it's getting from none other than a terrorist. The man in question here is Gurpatwant Singh Pannu, and this is the same man who had threatened attacks on the Diwali celebration. I'll come back to you as you put that into perspective, but like we've been telling you viewers, there are union ministers in the country who are now saying that Canada seems to have become like Pakistan. So Union Minister Ravneet Singh Bittu says Canada now has replaced Pakistan. Let's listen in.
मेरी ख्याल से पाकिस्तान की जगह वो कनाडा ने ले ली है। हम तो बहुत कनाडा के लिए बहुत मन में भारत के, हिंदुस्तान के और पंजाब के खास तौर पे बहुत ज़्यादा उनके लिए मन में हमारे भावना जो थी वो प्रेम की थी। कहीं ये लग रहा है भी जो लोग पाकिस्तान में रहते थे वो सब शिफ्ट कनाडा में कर गए हैं। कहीं ना कहीं गुरुद्वारों का जो पैसा है, क्योंकि ज़्यादा हर जगह पैसे का मामला है। अब भारत वो देश नहीं है जो अगर आप उसको धमकी देंगे, जहां और कोई बात करेंगे तो हम